and with harps. And in praising him, ye shall say after this manner, all the works of Yahuwah are exceeding
I think
good.
that people, if
And
they just step
whatsoever he
into more of
commands
their
shall be
spirituality, they'll
accomplished
see
in due season.
what some of us have already been talking about. Because even being attacked for saying grand
1
rising,
John 3,
it kind of irritates me. Like,
verses
you can't even
21
be
through
positive
24.
to people because they're full of so much
Beloved,
negativity.
if our
They're
heart
turning around and
does
saying,
not
well,
convict us,
what that even mean?
we have
Say
confidence,
good morning. Like, I'm not
complete
saying
assurance,
something that
and
was meant
boldness
to
before Yah,
be
and we receive
evil.
from him
Mourning, you do
whatever
realize
we
that's a
ask,
bad thing.
because
Like,
we
that's a
carefully
sorrowful thing.
and
To mourn
consistently
is to be
keep
full
his
of sorrow.
commandments
So what
and
is
do the
good
things
about
that are
mourning?
pleasing
Tell me
in
that.
his sight, habitually
So when I say that
seeking to
words are like
follow his plan for us.
spells,
This is his commandment,
I've never
that
liked
we
someone saying good
believe
morning to me.
with
I've always
personal
hated
faith
that. Good
and
morning, like, bitch,
confident
it's
trust
not good morning.
in the name
What is
of
we
his
mourning?
Son,
First of all,
Yahushua
what are we
HaMashiach,
mourning?
and that we unselfishly love and
And why
seek
are we
the
happy
best
about
for
it?
one another, just
That's
as
why
he
some people say
commanded us.
grand rising, because it's
The one
grand
who
that you
habitually
rose
keeps
today.
his commandments,
Just
obeying his
like
word,
some
and
people be so
following his
happy about
precepts,
Easter because
abides
Jesus
in
rose. Like,
repentance and
that's a
heaven,
grand rising,
and
right?
he
Because he rose.
in
That's a
heaven.
grand thing that
By
he
this we know
rose.
and
So
are
that's why people
convinced
say grand
that
rising
he
sometimes.
really abides in us by the
So
Spirit
it just
whom he has given us
it's so
as
funny
a
to me
gift.
how people just be agitated about certain ways to greet people, but
Hebrews 13,
will greet people
verse 6.
from the
So we
evilnesses
take
of the
comfort
Bible.
and are encouraged,
We'll quote
and
things
confidently say,
out of the Bible that
Yahuwah
they don't even know what
is
it
my helper.
means. So when you try to ask a
Times
Christian
10,
something and
I will
they get
not be
so
afraid.
disgruntled in
What will man
themselves,
do
and
to me?
they give you another scripture, and you like, so you don't know
Proverbs
what you're
25,
talking about, or you
verse
don't know how to
27.
answer me, so you gave me
It
another
is not
verse,
good to
another
eat
Bible verse, when you
much
could have
honey.
just gave me an answer. But
So
because
for
you didn't know
men
how
to
to answer
search
my
their
question,
own
you
glory
gave me another
is
verse
not
because
good.
you probably didn't like what I asked you, or you didn't have the real answer to it, or maybe you
James
did have
2,
the answer to
verse
it, but you
17.
didn't want to answer it because you
He
wanted
who
to call
says
yourself
faith
being faithful
but
to
has no
a
works
religion that
is
could care less
dead
about you.
in by itself. Psalm 62,
When you really
verse
tapped
5.
into your spirituality,
My
you can
soul
see people for who they
await
are. And
in
so when
silence
people tell
for
you
Yah
stuff,
only,
you just take it with a grain of
for my
salt. Be like,
hope
okay.
is from him.
Because you don't have to believe people. That's another thing. You
Philippians
don't have
3,
to believe
verse
nobody,
8.
and nobody has to
For we
believe
are the
you.
circumcision, which worship Elohim in the
Stop
glory,
trying to force
and
someone to
rejoice in Mashiach Yahushua,
understand you.
and have no confidence in the flesh.
Stop trying to force people to understand stuff. Just feed them stuff. Just give them stuff and then let them do with
Romans
what it
12,
is that they're
verse
going to
3.
do.
For through the
Because
grace
people
given
going
to
to do what
me,
they're going to
I
do.
say,
Remember, they kings and
everyone
queens. Remember? Queens and
not to think
kings.
more
You know?
highly of himself than
Not
he
doing
ought to
king
but
and
to
queen
think
things,
so
but
as to
they're
have
kings and queens, right? Like,
self-judgment, as Yah
doing the
has
same thing
allowed
that everybody was
to
doing, but they're
reach
kings
a
and
measure
queens, right?
of faith.
Like, come on now. You cannot be a king or a queen and doing the same thing that everyone
Romans
else is doing,
15, verse
especially if
14.
that doing is wrong.
And concerning you, my brethren,
Even if it's
I
doing
myself
right, like,
am
I
convinced
don't see
that you
you
yourselves
never see a
are
king or
full
a queen
of
doing
goodness, filled with
what
all knowledge,
what
and
society
able
is
to
doing. You see what
admonish one
society
another.
you see society doing what the king and the queen and the king is telling
Proverbs 3,
everyone else to do it. You'll never
verses
see.
24
That's how they
through
stay in
26.
power so long. Like,
When you lie down, you shall
and
not be
people
afraid.
just want a title because it sounds
Yea,
nice instead of really doing the
you shall
self
lie
work.
down,
That's the
and
thing.
sleep
People
shall
want to
be sweet.
do. They want
Be
to go
not
to
afraid
work
of sudden fear,
and get
neither
tired
of the
and be
desolation
drained and all of
that
that. But then when it comes
cometh.
to their
For
insides,
Yahuwah shall
they
be
don't want to
your
do anything,
comfort.
which is why I think work
He
is
shall
bullshit
guard your
sometimes,
foot
because
against
people
a
go out
wall.
into the work field and they work all these hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, 18
1 John
hours,
4,
sometimes 24 hours,
verse 12
and they come home
through
and they're
18.
so tired. And this is why a lot of
No
people
man
don't
can
have time to
see
do
Elohim
self-care. It's because
at
they're
any
so
time.
tired from these
If we
jobs
love
that
one
they cannot
another,
focus on
Elohim
themselves.
dwells in
So they
us,
go out into the world with this
and his
tired
love also
soul, and they just
abides
snatch
in
at
us.
whatever they can, and just,
Hereby
okay, that
know
sounds
we
good. They're asleep, and they're just like,
that we
okay,
dwell
so this is what being asleep is about,
and keep
because you
Yah's
work so much that your
because
soul
he has given
literally
us
falls asleep.
Yahuwah in the Spirit.
And so now everything
And we have
that
seen
is bad is
and do
driving
testify
you, and you
that the
just
Father
grabbing whatever
sent
because you're
the
so
Son
damn tired. You're
to
like,
be the
whatever, I'll
Savior
grab this and
of the world.
I'll add this to my life. It is what it is.
Whosoever shall
And
confess that
you're
Yahushua